Alright. Hi! Welcome
Hello.
to episode 16.
16.
Episode 16 of the Unniched podcast.
We can drive.
Okay, it took a second for that to register. We can drive. Unniched podcast where a husband and a wife talk about anything and everything because honestly, we don't have a niche. We're back.
You can't say we're back and then keep texting on your
I
phone.
wasn't texting. You want to see? It's your mom and people. So technically it's their fault.
Yeah, it's our fault.
But this week like we said last week, we've just been kind of busy recently.
Yeah.
Like I feel like our weekends, as it's August, I feel like a lot of people's are like that. They're just busy and we just haven't had a lot of mental energy to like come up with complex ideas. And so we decided let's do silly little Reddit stories part 2.
Part 2.
Part 2. Because it did really well last time and it's honestly just fun talking about outrageous stories because we live such boring lives.
Yeah, it is fun.
So I want to start off this episode doing a very outrageous one, probably the craziest one that I found.
Okay.
I'm going to start. Are you ready?
Go for it.
Okay. So anyone that is familiar with like Reddit and such. So the how I found it is from a Reddit thread that's like copy and pasted. So it's like people copy like well-known stories and paste it into this thread so people can find it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is called the Jolly Rancher story.
Okay.
Have you ever heard it?
I might have.
Damn.
I don't know though. It doesn't sound super familiar.
Nothing tops the Jolly Rancher story. Steve and his girlfriend Samantha went off to college in August. She went to Florida State, he went to Penn. So she decides to fly to PA to visit him. He was really happy to see her, so he decided to give her some oral action. He had done this numerous times before, and he always enjoyed doing it, but for some reason this time, she smelled really horrible, and she tasted even worse. He didn't want to offend her, though, because he hadn't seen her in months, so he put a Jolly Rancher in his mouth to cover it up, even though it didn't do much to help. In the course of eating her out, he accidentally pushed the candy inside of her, and stuck a finger in to grab it out. He took it out and put it back into his mouth and bit it. Only, it wasn't the Jolly Rancher. It was a nodule of gonorrhea.
Oh.
As in, the blister-like structure that gonorrhea makes filled with diseased pus was the size of a fucking Jolly Rancher, and the poor guy bit it. I guess it was really dark in the room. He freaked out and started vomiting all over the place when it exploded in his mouth. He demanded to know what was going on. Turns out, she had cheated on him at a club like the first week of college and fucked some random guy, and the stupid bitch had no clue what was wrong with her. She noticed a strange smell, though. So now, Steve is freaking out that he now has gonorrhea of the mouse and God knows what else.
Oh my god. That is absolutely horrifying.
Could you imagine?
No, I don't want to.
I think it's, okay, one, if you are a person that interacts, does sexual things, don't put candy in your mouth and then go to that region. That is asking for, outside of her having gonorrhea, that's asking for like...
Yeah, I think the gonorrhea was probably the worst part of that.
No, it probably is, but I'm just saying PSA, don't put candy near your genitals because you're asking for some kind of like yeast infection or STI or something. So just don't do that. But I don't know what I would do.
How does that happen?
What do you mean, how does that happen?
How does he grab in there and grab that?
Well, if he pushed a Jolly Rancher in there and the gonorrhea nodule was the size of a Jolly Rancher, he probably got it mixed up.
What happened to the Jolly Rancher?
It probably was still in her. They eventually got it out, probably. But, I mean, who knows if this is even true. But...
regardless, that is absolutely horrifying. Could you imagine that?
Nope.
Oh my god. That's awful.
I wanted to start it off on a good note.
Why did I think that you would choose, like, more heartwarming type things.
The rest of them are probably a little bit more family friendly than this one.
I got one that isn't, so I mean, we could.
You want to just continue that theme then?
Yeah, we might as well.
Being a little fucked up?
This is ready?
Probably not.
Today I fucked up by asking my partner to stop eating his own cum after sex.
Okay, I feel like that should be like something you don't have to ask, but okay.
Well, apparently it is. I, female 23... Sorry, she wrote that weird. I've been in a relationship with this guy, male 33, for like years. Okay, so they're 10 years difference. When we started dating, after a month of getting to know each other, we went to his place and did the deed. Enjoyable experience overall. But after he was done, he removed the condom and with very much expert gestures proceeded to drink his junk right out of it. I was shocked and confused. In my head, I was like, yo, man, what the fuck? He was my first partner, and I wondered if that was kind of normal.
No, it's not.
Common? I don't know. Since I used to be a big people pleaser, I managed to hide my shock and disgust and simply asked him, why did you do that? He answered me, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. It's a lot like it's a lot of kilojoules of energy. I can't waste them. I was even more confused. I was literally speechless, and what was being a very nice and romantic night managed to become a weird and kind of awkward situation. To make things worse, he even stated in a very dramatic tone, I will never allow anyone to eat my semen. He said that his junk was something precious, like if somebody were to get access to it, it was like being able to steal his soul. I don't know, it made no sense. And also, dude, nobody here is trying to steal your precious cum. By the way, he wasn't drinking his own cum in a kinky or erotic way. I don't know. He did it like it was an extremely serious and important deal. Why drinking your own cum must be so dramatic? We kept dating for several months, and every time we had sex, every single time he did the same thing. I started to become very concerned, since usually inside the condoms there's usually some lube, I guess.
Yeah.
He even complained about the bad taste of the lube or the latex condom was made of. The taste of his own cum somehow didn't bother him at all. Good for him. And even if usually lube is not that toxic, I think that consuming a small amount but very often may not be the healthiest habit. Also, his breathing right after this ritual almost made me throw up all the time, since he even refused to brush his teeth afterwards. I didn't chew and swallowed it in one gulp, so I don't need to brush my teeth. Ew. I tried to discreetly make him understand that this habit was gross.
Yes, very.
By saying out loud, ew, or by covering my eyes, but he didn't get the clues. A year passed by. I had enough. I tried to confront him, but nope. He was unmovable. Neither the fact that his passion for his own cum was making him feel a little uncomfortable, nor the fact that, in my opinion, eating lube could be harmful made him stop. He then proceeded to get mad. He stated that he wasn't doing anything wrong and that he just didn't want to waste precious substances from his body.
Then donate it.
and that I was making a scene for nothing. I told him about his breath, and he straight up accused me of having a bad smell. I told him that by deflecting my accuse, he was just making things worse. But then he interrupted me and just told me I was insufferable, then just left. He was extremely angry. I've never seen that side of him. I'm sure that he will tell me to pack my things and ask me to leave. That's weird. So right now I'm mad and confused and scared about his behavior.
I'm sorry. No one's baby gravy is that precious. It needs to be drank.
I've never had the desire to drink my own semen.
Maybe one time if you're feeling a little frisky and adventurous. One time. If you're feeling adventurous and frisky, maybe. But not after every time you have sex. That's weird.
That's fucking strange.
I'm kink shaming you.
I honestly feel like it's weirder to this sounds awful, to drink it right out of the condom.
That's weird.
Like, if you did it into your hand and took a lick or something, that's one thing. But out of the condom, dude? What the
I
fuck?
don't want to think about that because that's so gross.
Do you think that he walks down the street, finds used condoms, and drinks?
No, I think it's a weird, possibly narcissistic thing. That it's
It's definitely weird.
Well, yeah, but like I think it's like maybe like a narcissistic thing where it's like it has to be his own.
That's fucking disgusting.
That's gross.
That is absolutely
Once,
revolting.
maybe, if you've been drunk and you're having a weird night, and you're trying other things.
But to sit there and say that your semen is so precious.
That's what I mean.
Fucking weird.
No one's juices are precious. No one's are. No one's is special. If you really think it's that special, go donate it. Go to a sperm bank. But don't drink it. That's weird. That's so weird. That's gross. I'm
And yes, if you're watching, I'm shaming you right now.
Yeah,
Stop
I'm
it.
kink
Don't
shaming
do it
you.
again. Stop it.
Okay.
Get some help.
Stop it. Get some help.
Would you like a spooky story? A story about relationships? Or something about malicious compliance?
Hey.
So this comes from the Reddit thread or group of paranormal encounters. My encounter with Beelzebub. Beelzebub. Okay. I had to be between 6, 7, or 8 years old when I was seeing this guy with the ugliest face. I would wake up and he would be sitting by my feet staring at me. I would wake up crying, telling my mom in Spanish, Mama, ahí está un hombre con la cara fea. In English means, Mom, there's a man with a very ugly face there. What was so strange was I was the only one that would see him because my mom or dad or sister couldn't see him. On other occasions, I was with my friends in the living room playing video games, and he would be against the wall like Spider-Man, just staring at me. I would cry and scream, "There's that man again, Mom," but nobody else could see him. My mom and friends probably thought I was going crazy or something. This one time, my older brother had gone to pick me up from school, and as we were walking home, I saw him again. I got so scared that I ran out of the sidewalk into the street and almost got ran over. Eventually, I stopped seeing him, and I haven't seen him since, but I always wondered why I was the only one that could see him, and what did he want? Not so long ago, I was watching this paranormal show, and I guess that particular episode was talking about how demons like to buffet people. That's a weird sentence.
That was a really weird thing to say.
So I hopped on the internet looking for answers, and as I was searching, I saw his picture. Beelzebub. He was the demon that I could see as a child. I couldn't believe it, but I'm glad I don't see him anymore. I just thought I'd share it, just wanted to get it off my chest.
That's scary.
That's really scary,
That's very scary.
Especially because, like, she was so little and she was the only one seeing it.
Yeah.
That's really scary.
I very much could be wrong here. But isn't Beelzebub the devil?
I think so in certain cultures.
That's what I thought.
You could look it up really quick.
That's almost worse, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's terrifying. Here, let's look it
Especially as a child, like, seeing some dude stuck to a wall staring at you. The fuck?
I just looked it up. I think she spelled it wrong, but it doesn't really matter.
Beelzebub.
I don't think that's right either. In theological sources, predominantly Christian, it's Beelzebub, is another name for Satan. He is known in demonology as one of the 7 deadly demons or 7 princes of hell. Beelzebub representing gluttony and envy. So yeah.
She's an envious little kid, apparently.
So, I mean, it's not only scary that she was the only one seeing it, but it's like, if I was her, I'd probably just be like, am I schizophrenic?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Like, do I have schizophrenia?
I'm like, does she get checked for schizophrenia?
Yeah, like, if she's seeing something over and over and over again like that so consistently, I'd be so scared.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like, I feel like a lot of stories like that where people do see demons and stuff, it's not consistent like that. Like,
yeah,
they're not
hers
seeing
was
it all the
consistent.
time. That would, again, like I've said before, I'm just a very skeptical person, but I will believe it if I have the evidence. But it's like, if you're seeing this multiple times,
yeah, over and over again,
there could absolutely be something else going on.
Yeah, and especially the part where, like, The part that really gets me is when she said that she was walking on the street and she like ran into the street and almost got hit by a car. It's like, was that the devil like
Yeah. Trying to kill her?
trying to do something? Yeah, like
Trying to get her out of here.
I don't know. I am spooked out by that business, but
That is pretty freaky.
That's
Especially
spooky.
as a kid, like seeing some dude stuck to a wall like that.
yeah.
Like Spider-Man staring at you.
And no one else sees it?
Yeah, exactly.
And your mom is probably low-key gaslighting you, going, it's fine, everything's fine.
She probably saw it and just didn't want to tell her.
Well, that'd be
Or maybe
fucked
that's
up.
her Uncle Steve and, you know, the
Yeah,
family
maybe
just
they
didn't
just
want to say
had-
anything.
Yeah, maybe they have, like, another family member that low-key gets locked in the basement. He just gets...
He got out that
got
day.
out.
Yeah, he just keeps getting out. And the other kids are in on it.
I feel like there was this one time... Who was it? It was a family member. Can't remember who it was. But I kept trying to convince them that we had, like, another brother that, like, just... or, like, a family member that was locked in the basement like that. Like, no, you just never see him.
That's funny.
You just don't. It's
He's
it's
down
fine.
there, but-
He's down there, but we just don't talk to Cousin Larry. Like, it's
We
okay.
locked that door.
Yeah. I don't remember who it was.
That's actually really funny. Should we do one that Reddit says that person is the asshole? The story writer
Yeah.
is the asshole? Okay.
Yeah, the OP.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Oh, sorry, I forgot to start. Am I the asshole for making my sister pay for my dog's abortion? I, female 28, have a working dog who is intact and obviously normally carefully handled to ensure no accidents happen. I went on a 2-day trip recently and my dog sitter got COVID before the day I left. So I asked my sister, female 34, if she could watch her for the same rate that I was paying in the home sitter. The in-home sitter, sorry. She said that she'd love to, and that I didn't have to pay her at all because it's not too much of an inconvenience, since she has 2 spayed female dogs of her own. And while we worked out all the details, including that she'll be in a strange neighborhood without her owner, so she needs to be leashed for even bathroom breaks. They don't have a fenced-in yard, it's just one of those picketed, whatever, doesn't matter. Certainly you know where this is going by now. Day 2, my sister takes her out to pee, and with her other dogs without a leash, and she runs off trying to find me. She was out for 6 hours before my sister found her, and only because she came back to the block on her own. I got home late that night, and she had only mentioned to me then that she had been out on her own for hours. I was upset, but didn't say anything too bad, mostly just that she should have told me immediately.
Yeah.
I didn't really think of it as the main issue since she wasn't in heat, but a few weeks later her nipples were prominent and it was obvious she was pregnant. I have no interest in becoming a backyard breeder, so I asked what type of termination my vets recommended. And both of them recommended the spay abort since she's 6 years old. It's easier on her body and she's fully developed already. I'm not thrilled about it, but it is what it is. $750 surgery all told. As soon as I got the quote, I told my sister that I'll be expecting her to pay for it, but that I'm willing to deduct the amount I would have paid her for the dog sitting had she not refused the payment. I also said I'm fine with a payment plan if she can't pay that much right now. At first she said she'd pay half, but not more. Then developed into it not being her fault because I wasn't even going to pay her, which obviously doesn't make much sense since I'm wondering if she's upset because she expected me to insist more when she said no to the payment. I only said, "Are you sure?" or something to that effect. I didn't really push at the time. Anyways, we went back and forth for a few days, both before and after the surgery. She finally ended up sending me the money, then blocked my number. I called her mom and talked about it, and she said that my sister felt like I was making her feel worse and more guilty about a mistake she already feels bad about. I asked if she could tell my sister for me and that I don't want her to feel bad, and I understand mistakes happen. I just don't think it's fair for me to foot the bill for it. They just made everyone angrier. I don't know what to do. Am I the asshole? Should I send her money with a /apology? Was it wrong for me to leave my dog with her to begin with?
Okay, I'm confused why people thought she was the asshole.
So I think a lot of it was,
Because she wasn't spayed to begin with?
1, she wasn't spayed to begin with, and 2, she just had the thought in my head and I lost it. I was kind of reading through the comments and a lot of it was like, it's not your sister's fault. Like,
No.
it happened. You know?
So, coming from my perspective,
Mhm.
yeah, she probably should have had her dog spayed. Yes. Yeah, sure. But also, she told her sister prior to her taking care of the dog, you need to leash her.
Yeah.
You need to leash my dog. Coming from my perspective, we have a dog, Rocky, love him to death, but if he goes outside and he's not leashed, he won't run away.
He'll just wander off.
He'll just wander off and you call his name, he won't come back.
Yeah.
So it's like, coming from my perspective, if I tell someone, you don't have a fence, you have to leash my dog, that, like...
So I think, yes, it's absolutely the sister's fault that the dog got out.
Yeah.
I don't think she should have to pay the bill, though.
I think they should split it.
I could see that.
Because she was in your care when this happened.
Right.
You didn't tell me right away that she got out, where I could have maybe prevented this a little bit more.
Yeah.
You waited until after she came back and after I came to pick her up to tell me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the sister should fully pay it because it's not her fault.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people were saying, because I didn't read the story before, I just kind of scrolled through the comments, and a lot of people were like, yes, it's the sister's fault for the dog getting out, but it was your choice to not spay her, so you should know what can happen if the dog were to get out in your care or somebody else's care. And you should be ready to, especially if you don't want her to be, or her to have babies and don't want to deal with the puppies, then you should be prepared for the repercussions of that if it happens. And I think that was kind of the conclusion that I was coming to when reading just the comments, not the story.
It's like, yeah, that I agree with that. That makes total sense, but I think it's just kind of like a 50-50 kind of situation.
Yeah,
where like, okay, yeah, I should have spayed her, but also you should have listened to me and put her on a leash.
And also, too, that's a fairly short story. I think there should be a lot more context in that.
Sure.
On how the people are normally, like how they interact.
Who knows, maybe they don't have a great relationship.
And maybe the person was just being an absolute bitch about it, like, and constantly texting her and be like, this is all your fault.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely different if she was like, hey, can you please help me with this? I'm sorry. Like, I know that this is a lot, but,
yeah.
You know.
I definitely don't think the sister who was taking care of the dog should pay all of it.
No, she shouldn't pay all of it.
But...
because as the owner, she should have some responsibility, too, because you made that decision not to spay, which is fine. Like, I don't care.
I think when it comes to that, it's your dog, it's your choice.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Before you start immediately blaming other people 100%.
Yeah,
and I think that was maybe the comment. Yeah. And that I agree with. I think 50-50 is fair.
50-50 is fair. I think everyone sucks in this situation.
Yeah,
like, I don't think it's the finger can go to anyone else.
Yeah, I would agree.
But I mean, like, okay, if we, for example, not that this would ever happen, but like if your mom was watching Rocky, she takes great care of him, but like if he were to get out and she didn't tell me until we came to pick him up, I'd be so mad.
Yeah, that's a tough one because I try to look at it from both point of views.
But that one, why didn't you call right away and say, oh my God, little Barbara.
Barbara.
Little Barbara just got out of my eye and she ran down the street.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm at work or anything.
For me, it would be context of it. Like, if I'm watching a dog and the dog got out, but the owners are, like, in a completely different state, I would still call. I might spend some time looking before I were to call.
I would call right
But if it's, like, they can be there in an hour or two, then I would call immediately.
I just think from me, I would want to know right away.
Yeah, no matter what I probably would say it right away. I'd spend maybe 30 minutes looking, try to get the dog back before, and then call, because then it's probably like, okay, what can I do?
Because when dogs get out, like, I know you've told me stories about your family dog Cam getting out.
Yeah, Cam getting out.
And, like, yes, he only went a couple streets over, but it's like cars.
It was terrifying.
What if a dog gets hit by a car? What if someone not that I don't think it could happen to our dog, but what if someone steals the dog?
Yep,
like,
exactly.
Because people are not nice.
Yeah.
Like, people have really gross intentions.
Definitely.
What if someone chopped up our dog? And I am. Oh my god. He will be so sad.
He would be very sad.
He'd be like, why you chop me up? Yeah, I don't know. I think that's an everyone sucks situation.
I think that's what the conclusion was when, like, at the end they, like, give the rating. I think everybody was the asshole on that one.
They usually post it at the top, like, what the conclusion is, like.
What does ESH mean?
I have no idea.
Everybody's...
Oh, everyone sucks here.
Oh, yeah. So that was a lot of the comment.
Yeah, everyone sucks here.
Like, here, I'll read this first comment. I'm going to go against the grain here and say everybody sucks here. People are justifiably upset at you for not spaying your dog, but your sister still lost a dog in her care for hours because she didn't follow explicit care instructions.
Yeah.
And that's also really shitty, which put y'all in a situation where your combined irresponsibility had health impacts for your dog and vet costs.
Mm-hmm. I know everyone has different dog opinions. We can move on after this. But,
Yeah, that's fine.
And I know, like, certain breeds, they tell you to wait, like, a year to get them fixed or whatever, but people should just get their dogs fixed. Like, I don't, like...
Yeah, I think that's, like, a one thing that a lot of people overlook. Like,
yeah.
They don't want to put their dog through the spay. And, like, I can understand that. Like, it is a lot for them. But it's... The health concerns down the road are actually way worse than people realize. Like, female dogs, like, when they are in heat, that can really cause a lot of problems for them.
You have to put a diaper on your dog then. That sounds horrible. No thanks.
Yeah, well, like, and, like, the hormones and stuff, and they can end up... I've seen it where they attack the owners, like, because they're in heat. Like, there's nothing wrong with it if you know what you're doing. Like, that's completely fine.
Yeah, I just feel like
I think for just, like, a general family dog, you don't have any intentions... Do what's better for the dog. Like, let them have more normal hormone levels and everything. It just makes them a lot calmer.
Yeah.
And then, like, too, you're also avoiding attacks. Like, if you are going to, like, a dog park or something, like, if they're in heat and something happens, those dogs get really aggressive. And I love dogs, I really do. But yeah, you gotta be careful. Like, you have to know what you're doing. Well, you have to be ready for it. I think that's the problem.
There's so many dogs already in the world that you can adopt. Through foster agencies, through shelters.
Yep.
Why do you, like, fix your dog? Like, you don't need to be breeding them, whatever.
Exactly. You're making your dog's life easier.
Fix your dog.
But if you know what you're doing, it's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
No, I have a problem with
it. But I think a lot of people don't know what they're doing. That's the issue.
Are you ready for my next one?
Yes.
This comes from the Reddit thread, Relationship Advice. Husband 30 male and I, 28 female, opened our relationship and now everything is terrible. My husband and I have been married for 6 years, together for 8. My husband, I'll call him Eric, has always been a really intense person, but a good man. When we got together, I noticed he had a much higher sex drive than I did, but I would usually have sex with him when I wasn't in a mood anyway because I love him. He's never vocalized any problems until somewhat recently. I should also mention, just before we got married, we talked about having kids. I'm indifferent to kids, whereas he doesn't want them, so agreed not to have them. Over the last year, my sex drive has been almost non-existent. I've been checked by doctors, and then they say nothing is wrong physically, but I should talk to a therapist, which I haven't done yet. I haven't been able to just have sex with him to have sex like I was doing. About 4 months ago, he sat me down and we talked about all this, and he said he needs sex, which I told him I understood, but I can't give him that right now. We argued for a bit, and he ended up sleeping on the couch. In the morning, he suggested we open the relationship. I was heartbroken. He explained that we either give this a try or end the relationship, so I agreed. We set boundaries. No bringing the person to our house, no talking about it, always use protection, and regularly tested. He agreed to all of this. I was actually surprised how okay I was with this as the months moved along. Even when he'd text me that he's going to be late, or when he'd kiss me and tell me he has plans that night. It almost felt like a burden was lifted from me. Well, yesterday my husband sat me down again and said he's... I feel like that something doesn't make sense. Well, yesterday my husband sat me down again and said he has something really difficult to tell me. For the last couple of months, he's been seeing this one girl and she's pregnant. I think I disassociated a little because I heard him talking but couldn't understand the words he was saying. When I came back to reality, I asked if it was his, and is she keeping it? Yes and yes. And he plans on being in this child's life actively. I asked him who she was, and he told me it's someone I know. Not well, but I do know who she is. I'm utterly heartbroken. I haven't told family or friends yet. I asked him not to. I asked him if he wants a divorce. He didn't say no. He's basically leaving it up to me. So I guess my question is, do I cut my losses and move on, or give this marriage another try?
I'd say cut your losses, personally.
Okay.
I think I don't think it's anything she did, really. I think she actually was doing a very good thing and, like, trying to do what she could do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the guy necessarily did anything bad, but I feel like he also could have been a little more understanding of it and working with it instead of just, I'm going to go have sex with other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, but it's obvious that whatever's there is gone, you know?
Yeah.
Especially if he is saying he wants to be in that kid's life, like,
Mm-hmm.
that tells me he cares more about her and that kid than her, which is fine, but.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. From my point of view, they both could have done a lot more prior to getting to that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they probably could have gone to some kind of, like, couples therapy or
Mhm.
counseling to maybe come up with a solution that wasn't opening the marriage. And that's not to be said, if that's something you're into, go for it. If that's something that works for you in communication, awesome, great. But in this circumstance, it wasn't even about, like, wanting to love other people. It was just strictly about sex.
And I think that's because you hear a lot of those types of stories where that happens. And, well, it does work sometimes.
Some people, that is a great lifestyle.
I would say 90% of the time, it's all for the wrong reasons, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I haven't heard many stories of it working in that context, at least. Mm-hmm. Like, if there's other contexts where you are completely in love with the person still and, like, you want to open up to other people.
Well, that's why polyamory exists.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a lifestyle that works for people.
But if you're just going out just to have sex with other people and then come back and, like, not even know the other person, that's not the same thing, necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's the tough one.
Well, and that's why I think when they got to that step, maybe they should have just cut their losses there.
Yeah.
Because I think she should just be done. Because she set firm boundaries of, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't want you to bring them to my house. You need to use a condom and get tested. And obviously he didn't do one of those things.
Yeah.
She set a clear boundary there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yes, condoms are only 97% effective. Sure, it could have slipped through.
I guarantee it wasn't, though.
But it's just the fact that it resulted in something like this that I would be so done.
Yeah, I would just cut the losses.
I mean, I would have been gone a while ago if you had said that you want to open the relationship. Like, I've been there, I've had someone say that to me. That's not for me.
That's just admitting defeat without admitting defeat. Like,
yeah, that's literally, you're like, you want your cake and you want to eat it too.
Yeah. You're saying that you just want to be with other people.
Yeah, you want to cheat, but
especially if it's the same person consistently.
Yeah.
Like how that was.
Yeah, I could understand if you were doing, not in this marriage, but in other relationships, if this was a dynamic that people were exploring and it worked for you, and they, honestly, if they were both doing it.
Yeah.
Make it more even, and you were doing, like, one night things.
Yeah.
You weren't
never meeting that person again.
Yeah.
That's a little different.
That's a little understandable because there's no feelings involved. It's purely just physical. It's really just getting needs met.
The same person over and over again.
It starts to become emotional.
That's a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I think this writer should cut her losses.
Yeah.
And honestly, it sucks, but let him explore that life with that woman and the child. Let them build their family, and you can go find someone that has the same level of needs as you.
And also, too, like, I think the guy was being an asshole to begin with. Like,
I think it's...
Like, he wasn't at all being understanding of her problems. And, like, just immediately jumping to, I need that, I'm gonna go have sex with other people. That's fucked up. Like, come on.
Very fucked
up. That's just... you're not being understanding of your own wife and like understanding
Nope.
what she's going through, and it's such a shitty thing to do.
Well, especially
I would have cut it
yeah.
right there, to be honest.
I would have
with
been
you.
like, oh, well, obviously this isn't working. We need to take space and like maybe separate.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people go through phases in life where they aren't in the mood.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have lower sex drives. That's okay.
But to immediately say, "Oh, I want to have sex with other people,"
Yeah.
like what? What?
Yeah. That's
What?
fucked up.
That's messed up. That ain't right.
Because they could have gone to like couples therapy in the beginning, and they could have found a better solution.
Yeah, I feel like they really jumped to the wrong conclusion very quickly.
Because my guess is she maybe, because she, not I'm saying this is exactly it, but my guess is she wasn't getting needs met in like intimate ways. Like,
Yeah.
not all women, but a lot of women need that intimacy.
Yeah.
To get to that next level, they need not necessarily foreplay, but like
Right.
they need special connecting moments to get to sex.
Yeah.
Whereas not all men, but a majority of men are just like, let's just fuck. And it's like,
yeah, that doesn't work.
my guess, I'm really guessing that she wasn't getting those intimate moments, and he was just wanting to.
Exactly.
And that's why it wasn't working. Which is poo poo caca. Give your partner beautiful intimate moments, and then they'll frick you.
Alright, I will preface this by saying this is a pretty long one. It's a pretty long one, but it's the last one I got, so killing time here, folks. It's perfect. It's a good one, though.
Please don't do that. I hate that. I really hate that.
Today I fucked up. Secretly eating mushrooms while my wife was asleep in a house full of cats.
Oh my goodness.
This happened a good long while ago, so not really today. It was April, and when I started this journey, during the winter I became a member of a magic mushroom forum and was learning all I could about growing magic mushrooms. I tried it once before.
Hallucinating mushrooms? Okay.
I tried it once before and grew only a yellowish green mush that smelled of sweaty socks.
Ew.
But this time it would be different. I had a spore print sent to me and was off to the races. I had tried mushrooms once before, about 10 years prior, and the experience was rather enjoyable. I've had way too many bad experiences with LSD to ever think about trying it, and from what I remembered from the mushroom experience, was much less chaotic and harsh for me than the majority of my acid trips had been. After following every trip I could gather, every tip I could gather in about a month and a half of waiting, I had viable mushrooms drying in the food dehydrator.
Wow.
The whole journey from spore print to fruit was done for reasons I don't yet have a great grasp on. I was thinking at the time that growing them would be... Sorry, I can't keep getting distracted by Rocky.
Our dog keeps sniffing the door.
I was thinking that at the time that growing them would be in part to some spiritual meaning into my experience. It had been a long, long time since I had taken any illegal substance, and I wanted it to be special in some way. Growing them myself was an attempt to provide that, I guess. The night I took them, I really wasn't planning on doing so. I was bored out of my wits, and was chatting with online friends. I told them I was going to eat my mushrooms, but I didn't know how much to eat without a scale. So I took a few pics of my intended dose and posted them and immediately got advice to cut that dose in half. So, with my wife asleep, I went downstairs to the kitchen and made a concoction of purple slushy and powdered mushrooms and gulped it down. I came back up and told the chatters that the deal was done and that I was taking a shower and be back once the fun started.
Oh, no.
In the shower, about 5 minutes, when I felt the rush, like I was consciousness was I'm guessing you meant to say, like my consciousness was being pulled away from my body.
Yeah.
I was fighting to keep it with me. It felt as though I had let it fly away, and I would have had a full body out of body experience, but for some reason I felt compelled to hold on to it. I quickly turned off the water, and looking down at my feet, they seemed miles away. This is when it hit me that the shrooms were kicking in. Out of the shower, and I put on the same clothes I came in with, and then headed upstairs. The shower is in the basement of the house, and there is a door at the top of the stairs. Opening the door, the light from the kitchen blasted my eyes, and I got a good gauge of how far along in the experience I was. I would see that the kitchen floor looked smooth and had a liquid-like texture, but before I could survey any more, my black cat ran down in the basement. I didn't want to forget about him down there, and I never really thought that I could just leave the door open and shoo any members of our herd that wandered down there after my trip. I trudged down the stairs after him and scooped him up and started back up the stairs. Halfway up, a brown blur flew down the stairs as another cat dove to the basement. I tossed the black one in the kitchen and went down after the brown one. Whilst picking up the brown one, the black cat came back down the steps
Jesus
again and
Christ.
scooped him up too. Now I am carrying 2 cats up the stairs. At the top of the stairs, the door is wide open, and I see our other 3 cats
Why do they have so many cats?
had come to investigate the commotion. As I made the final push to the top, they all jumped into action like they had planned it in advance.
No.
I started laughing hysterically, let go of the cats in my arms, and sat on the top step as I watched all the cats bounce down the stairs.
Yeah, just leave them.
I had found the whole situation so funny. Here I am, coming up hard on mushrooms. I can feel the confusion building every second, and now I have to figure out a way of getting all 5 cats out of the basement.
Just leave them.
By the time I had collected myself and devised a plan, my face was hot and objects were starting to move. The time dilation had manifested and minutes were seeming to take longer and longer. My plan was to go down and capture 1 cat at a time and usher them upstairs.
No.
Once I got to 5, the task would be to complete. I raced down and grabbed the first cat I came across. I ran up to the top landing and tossed it, pretty forcefully, up the last 3 steps into the kitchen so it would get to a point that I didn't want them down there. Back down I went and did the same thing. That's 2 down, 3 to go. I was getting more confused by the minute, and on the 4th cat, I had forgotten how many cats I had